So I've been looking for a reverse osmosis, aka RO, system for my water for a while. I live somewhat in the country, in the edge of town, and I'm on well water. So I've got a couple of things. One is I'm on well water, so there are some things in the water that you don't want. And I also have a well, so just by having that, it means I don't have high pressures all the time. So I needed an RO system that would work with lower pressure. I bought this one with my own money, $599 plus tax from Amazon. The reason I bought this specific one is because it's supposed to have an internal pump that kind of regulates the pressure for your water. So that way, if you're familiar with well water, you're kind of between 40 and 80 or 40 and 60 PSI. So your pump will turn on until you get to 60 PSI, then it'll shut off until you get down to low to 40. And with these things, I hear you need higher PSI. The higher the better. That way they could be more efficient. But I also wanted to have the highest amount of gallons per day because this is also tankless. So I went with the 800 gallons per day. So that way the water flow hopefully will be halfway decent and it doesn't take a half an hour to fill up a glass of water. I'm gonna go ahead and unbox it. All right, we're gonna open it up and see what comes in there. The only reason I'm doing this is because I couldn't find one online. The install or the usage or the unboxing, so I wanted to know what the heck everything is like. We get this thing, which I have no clue what it is for now. We get all kinds of hoses. Can you see those ones? Teflon tape, check valve, and then the little thing that goes on the wastewater. We get a little tool to cut the hoses and to install them, and we get the valve that goes under the sink. We get a box here. This is going to be the electrical outlet, which I'm going to talk about while installing it. And there's another box here, and that is the faucet, which looks really nice, and it's got the digital display on it. See that? And then we got the main unit, which is kind of heavy, but not too heavy. It's got the inlet, and I think it's got some sort of a sensor. Wastewater that goes to the drain. Pure water, which is supposed to go one of the outlets of the faucet. Filtered water, which is the second one, because you could use reverse osmosis on this one, or just filtered water, which is pretty nice. So you can wash your dishes or run it to something else, and you could run your reverse osmosis to the other one. And then there's the inlet water. And that's what it looks like. You've got a booklet, probably owner's manual and stuff like that. 4 easy steps to install, supposedly. We'll see about that. And then I believe there's the front. And I love peeling these things off. Not when there's tape. The tape is a pain. And there we go. The Brio 800 gallons per day. I'm sorry, not per minute. I wish. There's the cover, comes right off. There's the reverse osmosis filter. And you're supposed to be able to twist them and pull them. And there's the regular filter. So regular filter and RO filter. And this is, I think, magnetic because it clicked right back on. And that's it. This is it, baby.
It looks like an egg.
This is what we paid $650 for. It's going to be amazing.
But it's worth it.
It's going to be worth it.
Instead of having like 10,000 water bottles.
So my first step was to choose a location. It was for me either all the way right or all the way left. Although it fit pretty tightly in there, I didn't want it there just in case we ever have to work on the sewage line. I know it's not called sewage, it's just, I can't think of it right now. So the drain line, there you go. And then so I put it all the way left. Eventually gonna paint all that, but I'll make it to where once you know where the location is at, it makes it easier because then you know how to route everything. You don't want cables everywhere, especially that this is all in one. It's not taking up a lot of room. You don't want your hoses to take a lot of room. So next step is to drill for the outlet here. And then remove the cold water, put in the valve that they provided so it goes back in. And so that way the in and out are ready, the in and the waste are ready. And then I'll go from there by mounting the little faucet up top. So I didn't have an outlet down under the sink, as stated. So what I did is, I had this outlet. I went straight down, I cut a hole, I ran a cable, I got one of these boxes from Home Depot. I'm sure you can get it somewhere else, but that's the number on it. These boxes are the ones where you can cut the hole and then as you screw it in, the wing will pop up and hold it against the sheetrock on both sides. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So this box goes in like that, and as you screw in the screws, that wing changes and it pulls it. And there it is. Now that box won't come out anymore. So now what we do is we have an outlet under the sink. Yeah, I nicked the side a little bit, but that's because I just drilled a little bit further where there was a board of wood. And then this board right here is adjacent to the sink. So I'm just gonna drill a hole there, run the wire, and that way I have electricity. And now if I ever plan on putting a dishwasher, it'll go right here. Ta-da! I mounted the power supply to where nothing is, it's way up, it doesn't get wet. And that's where it's gonna go because the system's gonna go there. And it's plugged into my little plug that I made. There we are. Next step is to remove this line here. Put this fitting that came with the system. Obviously, if your line is a different size, you would have to get adapters, but my adapters, I believe, are the same size as it. So I'm gonna take that all apart, put this on, and I'll be right back. And it should look something like this. This is your old one. This is the T that they provide so that you can tap this here into the RO system and it feeds right back into your cold line. What I did is I shut the valve, I took out the hose, I put the T and I put the hose back on. And now if I open the valve back up, it shouldn't leak. And that's what you check for. Always check for leaks. Now, that one is closed. Make sure that that is closed. Once you open it, that's the line that feeds RO. Remember, these are all like O-rings, so you don't have to over tighten them. They're not like a Teflon type of thing or a pipe thread. At least at mine weren't. So just keep that in mind. Next, I'm gonna mount this thing right here. And I believe I'm gonna mount it right at the, so not in this one, but in this one here below. So that way I'm not hearing all the noise all the time. And I think I'm gonna face it back so that way I could route the lines back and they can go along with the other one. So I'm gonna drill the hole from the back, which is gonna be harder for me, but that's how I prefer it. That way I'm not seeing lines come out everywhere. You'll see what the end product looks like. I'm gonna drill it, mount it, and I'll be right back. Just a little trick after I drilled the hole to line it up. I just took the screw that was provided, put it on the sticker so that way I'm not sticking it in the wrong place. I know it's a little dark, but you can see I put the screw in the hole. Then I made sure that the sticker is flat and then I stuck it on. So now I know that the sticker is pretty much with the hole. I know that you can't see that because there's light behind it and not in front of it. Actually, let me turn on the flashlight there. So there we go, that's that. So there it is. All right, and now that I've done that part, what I did is I stuck this in about a 1/4 inch in. That way when I put it in, I also line it up when I go to screw it. So that when I put it into there, I know that the hose went all the way in the hole and I'm not misaligned because the hose is already in there. And then I could pull it back a little bit if I want to. But while mounting, I wanted to do that. Then I took both lines, and as you can see, I zip tied them together. So that's the inlet and the drain. And then they're ready to go to the corner. And and that way they're nice and neat. There they are. And you can see I'm not taking up my whole closet. And then the only two lines that will be left are the ones that are going to go up. Then I drilled the hole in my stainless sink. I used the Unibit, which is this thing. It took a minute. I also didn't have an inch one, so I kind of reamed it out a little bit, but it came out real nice anyways. I did have a hole here, but it was too close to the handle, so I just kind of went further into the corner, and that way it's there. And this just sticks into there, I'm guessing, just like so. So now I've got this, and I've got that, and that's what it's gonna look like. And then the bottom, it is just a little washer and a little nut. And you tighten it by hand. Now the hoses that came for the faucet weren't marked, or whichever ones I'm using. So I'm just gonna mark one of them with just a black Sharpie, and make sure the same one is marked with a black Sharpie. And that's gonna be the one, so I know that because my faucet has two handles, reverse osmosis and just filter, I'm gonna know that this is gonna be for my reverse osmosis. I took those two lines and I plugged them in. I ran them down and I zip tied them along the other two. Now I have 4 hoses, nice and clean coming down. I didn't zip tie this with them because I'd like to just keep the electrical separate. And then I'll just run it down and zip tie it separately to something else. You'll notice that the RO line, I left a little gap on it here because I intend to put a T and run that down and under the house because I have raised foundation, and run it to my fridge ice maker as well. So that's why that's that way. But I'm also going to take this L out and put this hose straight into the thing. So I'm going to cut them all even and plug them all down, so that way it'll just be all nice and hidden and it'll look nice. I'll show you final product here in a minute. There's what it looked like right before pushing it back into place. All of the plugs are into place. That one plug I'll just have to route and get some something to zip tie it up. There's the power outlet, and I'm ready to plug this outlet into this outlet and give it a run. And there is what it looks like when I push it all out of the way. Everything is completely flush against the wall. There's nothing. I still have all my space under my sink. It looks really nice, and I'm in no way a plumber. Now I'm just going to turn that valve on and hope that there's no leaks anywhere. So now I've got water going from my main inlet through this valve into the RO system. And I just turned the filtered side on, which the filtered side is going to be faster, I guess, because there's no RO. But I'm going to turn it off, and I'm supposed to turn this one on, but that's what I'm going to do. So this is going to be going through the RO now. And they said initially it'll be slow, but as you pass that mark, it'll start going much faster. I could hear the wastewater going into the sink. I could barely hear the pump, and the sink, the counter's open, and it's actually much better than I thought. I thought it was going to be just trickling down, and it's actually not too bad at all. Let me get a glass or a cup. And this is just the test. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10. I think this is a pretty big glass too. But either way, I'm supposed to run it like this, and you can see the numbers coming in. 563, which is really high, and it's already doing 48, which is pretty low, but I believe it's going to do better. It looks really pretty. It works very nice, and I didn't think I'm gonna like it this much. Hopefully the flow stays this steady or faster, because I'm happy with the flow. I didn't think it was gonna be this fast. I really was hoping that it is like this. So I'm pretty happy so far. And here is what it looks like now. Here's the regular water. And here's the RO. And there they are side by side. faucet water, this one, and regular water, this one. I mean, RO water. And it looks really neat, and it gives you the numbers of in and out for PDS, and that's the filtered water. And when you shut it off, it tells you, I think, the filter's life.